It's very odd for somebody that nobody knows to introduce somebody that everybody knows. But in addition, I can add one thing. In addition to being the chief Washington correspondent for the CBS News, the former anchor of CBS News, and the host of Face the Nation, our interviewer, I've been watching interviews for the last 5 years at the Aspen Ideas Festival, and I can tell you that this is the A-team, the all-star interviewer of the Ideas Festival, Bob Schieffer.
Thank you all. All right, and I have the unexpected pleasure, I mean, I knew about it before I came out here, but to interview Lewis Black, who I've sort of admired from afar for a long, long time. And we just finally got to meet face to face for the first time about 10 minutes ago. And I have discovered that we share some things, some which may be disclosed and some which won't. But it's Lewis Black is one of a kind. He was born in Washington, D.C. He was raised in Silver Spring, Maryland. He was said to be a colicky baby and has been mad about something ever since. He's a graduate of University of North Carolina and the Yale Drama School. He's a playwright in residence at the West Bank Cafe Downstairs Bar in New York, where he oversaw the development of more than 1,000 plays and the work of such people as Alan Sorkin, who created The West Wing, and Alan Ball, who wrote American Beauty. In 1996, he created a segment on The Daily Show, which was sort of a 3-minute rant about whatever was on his mind at that time. This has led to stand-up, well, he was a stand-up comic along the way too, but this led to specials on HBO, stand-up comic tours, movies with, among others, Robin Williams. He is the author of a new book, right down there, Me of a Little Faith. He is truly a man of all seasons, but in most of his seasons, there seems to be a lot of nasty weather. So, Lewis, we do want to talk about your book, but dare I start this interview by asking you, is there anything that you're mad about right now?
I don't really like the fact that they have those videos. We have to look. You don't put those up so can the people there not? Why would you have those up? Why would you have screens up? I understand these screens up front, but that's bullshit. I don't like. Do you like looking at yourself while we're talking? It's idiotic. Now, besides that, I have an iPhone. This is supposedly the miracle of the future, and I downloaded. For those who didn't get the new iPhone, I downloaded their thing from their website, and this now is a piece of shit. But otherwise, I'm good.
Someone once described your comedy as a man dealing with the absurdities of life and politics, approaching the personal limits of sanity. I think you have given us an illustration of just what this is all about. I have something that concerns me, Lois, and I want to ask you about this. Do you find yourself out here, do you feel somehow that you've been cut off from the coverage of Michael Jackson's funeral, and does that bother you?
Well, it made for a long day yesterday. It was so, I had to go on the internet. Who can keep up? How has this become, it's like the Pope doesn't get this coverage. It's the most extraordinary thing I've ever witnessed. Because we can all start, okay? Base point, it's a tragedy, okay? No ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's a tragic story. However, I cut off from Michael Jackson after his third surgery. That was the point. I said, I can't look at this anymore. It's terrifying. And so I would kind of listen to the music, and then you get in. I watched 5 hours of coverage on CNN Saturday while I was packing to come here, and just to see if there was anything else happening in the world. And what I found was that there was about 4 minutes of coverage of the molestation stuff. And when they talked about the molesting, it was always in reference to why he was broke, that he had to spend a lot of money covering it up. It was never like, maybe something's wrong here. Maybe this shouldn't be, maybe, I don't get it. I would, if you want to know why we are really, I believe, losing our preeminence in the world, is that type of thing. That if they had devoted half the time, all 24-hour news cycles, to any problem that we have as a nation, we could have solved it.
But he did make some pretty good music. I mean,
he did.
And down through history, we have separated art from the artist. Caravaggio was a murderer. Van Gogh was nuts.
Caravaggio was a murderer?
I think so.
That's the kind of stuff you're going to dump on me today? I have always loved his work. And now I'm just going to be tainted. I'm just going to be wandering through museums going, killer, killer.
Barry Bonds had a lot of home runs.
Yeah, he did.
Let's talk about your book a little bit. It is called Me of Little Faith. What does that mean?
That means that I have a little faith. I wrote the book from a personal point of view. When I wrote this book, every third person was writing a book on religion. They all came out. The Sam Harris book, the Christopher Hitchens book. There was just a spawning of a ton of stuff, and kind of in reaction to the Christian right and what was going on in terms of, the whole thing with religions becoming crazier by the day, and they, Riverhead came to me and said, write a book, and so I took it. I said the only way I could write this book was from a personal, my point of view, the things that had happened to me personally. When I'm funny is, when I'm the most funny is when it really it's something very, very personal. And also there were hundreds of thousands of books that have been written. Either the guy did cocaine for 15 years and snorted up mountains and mountains of blow, and then, on a Thursday meets Jesus in a coffee shop. And so there's those books. And then there's the books with the people who have so much faith that, everything is just, it's always great, sun's always shining, they're never miserable, God will provide, all of that stuff. There's those people with the kind of faith, and I admire that faith, don't get me wrong. But I felt there was no books about people like myself who kind of stumbled toward the light.
And so you wrote this book.
So I wrote the book.
Every religion has its creation story. And as I was reading your book, I noticed that you have your version. I mean, we, the Judeo-Christian tradition, we have Genesis, where we tell the creation story. But you, in this book, have written your kind of version of it, which you call punk creationism.
Yeah. This was written in about 1980. It's my version of Genesis. And so I'm just going to say, if you really have this deep abiding faith that you believe that Genesis is the Word of God, and that by hearing this you will be disturbed and angry, and I will have to receive some sort of psychotic note, leave the room. There's no reason, okay?
I would also say the lightning rods are in place.